Before you start solving with the advanced cross method that I'm going to try to explain to you, you'll want to start trying to solve with different colors to begin with. Like, for example, in this case, I would not solve for white. I would probably solve for blue, because I see that has a very high potential for being a good solve. Like that. White would have been a lot harder to get. So that's called color neutrality, when you can solve with any color starting first. And for some people it's easy, for some people it's not, and some people actually can't do it, but you just want to try. And even people who aren't color neutral naturally, like Eric Ockersteig, for example, are able to choose between like white and yellow, or something like that. Being at least two color neutral is good. But for the simplicity of this video, we're going to be using white again, because it's easy to see on camera. There's a lot of techniques that you want to use when using an advanced cross solve. And I'm going to start with a couple of algorithms, because often when you're learning how to solve the cross in an advanced way, you can find two of these corners, or two edges, that are already solved, or are pretty close to being solved. Like, you might have to do that, or something like that, and you'll end up with just two edges not solved. And there's a bunch of quick ways to do that are very nifty to use when in a solve. So, for example, this case right here, where this needs to go over here, and this just needs to be flipped down, you would do F U prime F R2, and they're both solved. This is a very simple case, R2, F2. You should have been able to do that without any help. This case you should also know, when these three are solved and just one is up here, but it is misoriented, you do F, R prime, F prime. This is a very quick case for when this needs to go here and this needs to go here, and they are both not oriented. You just do R prime, F, R prime. For a case like this, where this needs to merely go down, and this needs to be flipped down, then you need to go R prime, U prime, R prime, F, and they'll both be solved. This is a harder case to recognize, and there might be different ways to do it, but it's where this needs to go over here, and this needs to go down here, and it's misoriented. What I would do in this case is go U prime, R prime, F2, R prime, F prime, and they're both solved. In a case like this, where they both needed to be just flipped down, but they both need to be reoriented, there's two different ways to do this, but my favorite way is start in this position and go F, U2, R prime, F. Another common way to do this would be starting at this position, do R prime, U2, F, R prime. Another easy case is one where this needs to go over here, and this needs to go over here, and they're both misoriented. You do R, F prime, R prime, F2, and they're both solved. A bit of a harder case to deal with is when they're both already in the right spot, but both are misoriented. You would do something like R, F prime, R, U prime, R2, U2, F2. You want to try to avoid something like that. The last case I'm going to give you is when you just have one edge flipped, and that is the fastest way, in my opinion, is to put it over here and do R little u prime, R u prime, and it's solved. Another technique you might want to use is this thing that I like to call a single entry point, and it's especially useful in a case like this, where you have many, in this case all, of the edges along the same layer. And this is useful because you can put them all in place with a 2-gen algorithm. And The actual performing of this might be a little bit tricky to know like which one to put in place, but if you know your color scheme well enough, it should be relatively easy to figure out which one to put in place at what time. But when you want to get very good at the cross, there's one thing you need to remember. Always try to solve it on the bottom. Solving it on the bottom is a very good thing to learn how to do, and it allows you to look ahead for F2L very well. And even if an algorithm may be a little bit finger trickier while you're facing up, you want to try to learn to do it at least kind of on the bottom. Like for example, I might do this. I just screwed up there. You do it like that. And it's on the bottom, which allows you to see into F2L a whole lot easier.